Good morning. Okay, I'm not expecting anyone to be up, but I'm going to be heading off soon. So I just wanted to talk through some of the images yesterday. So we came to Canberra, but basically coming to Canberra was very rushed. You can't actually do it so you can see them. It was very rushed. So here we are outside Canberra House. There's a massive storm coming up behind. So we'll probably in the other images show images of the storm, but I want to talk about some of the people that came up, and today I'm going to try something else. So here was one woman I photographed, and this is how she is. You know, she's got a little dog. I don't know anything about it. If she's there today, I'll try to find out. She's wearing the flag, and they're wearing the flag. I find it completely moving how these people are so loyal to the flag, and they were in the initial protests wearing the red one, but now they're wearing the blue, and they hold it the right way up a lot of the time too. So it's also her age. We see her age. She's probably in her 50s like me, and then this woman's even older. And she's got a few tats. I don't know where she's come from. She's got that big dog of hers, and she was sitting there. And she's just, because we were, where we were, is I'll bring it down here. We were in here. So where the people are looking is the doors to get into Parliament. And that was blocked by just all those cops. And we just wanted someone to come out and talk to us, which I don't think anyone ever did. The settings on this camera are black and white, so unfortunately, you've got to imagine this is color. But all these people are, most of them, a lot of them are mature, but a lot of them have nowhere to go. You know, they were wanting them to leave. But what I realized, and I'll mention it today, is they didn't have anywhere to go. That's why they were in the state capital. I mean, there's no reason to come to Canberra. Canberra, you've got an awful city. It's just this cold, impersonal, clean, and it's just got a horrible feel to it. I really, if you live here, I'm sorry, I'm not a fan of Canberra. And there's and so there's, if you're coming to all the places in Australia, well, it's probably a bit too harsh. But if you come to all the places in Australia, Canberra would be I don't think Canberra would be in the top 10. And so for all these people to drive all this way, and here they are, and they've come from everywhere, from WA, from all over Queensland, South Australia, Victoria, New South Wales. And we were all here, and we all amassed today as one people. And we were one people. We're the cast outs now, we're the gypsies, or basically the unwanted. And what's really interesting, I'll see if I've got it here in a colourful flag. So this woman here, often people say, why do they have, so this is the red flag. I'm not sure of the history of the red flag, but we're upside down means that it's country in distress, or boat in distress, or something like that. So that was for that. But just come down here, see if I can find another image. This was a family that turned up with all 4 kids. And here we are outside towards the end of the day, the big storm coming up here. I can't seem to see one. But anyway, I think, and I'm not a journalist, so I am completely biased. But what's really interesting is I've never seen sort of a revolution in a country where the revolutionaries use the country's actual flag as their symbol. Usually they make up their own flag or something else. But in Australia, it's their own symbol. And the rest of Australia, who is masked up, they're sort of seeing that we see these things from these other groups, that one way to tell if a person is a fascist is if they're wearing the Australian flag. That's what they say. So That's the sign. So now, like when the trucks come up, when the cars come up, the first thing you look for to see if someone is a part of the resistance is you look for our Australian flag. And no one talks about getting rid of the Union Jack. No one talks about anything. They really claim ownership of this flag. And they've got spare ones in the boot, or they've got old ones. I talked to one guy, he'd had it for 45 years, and he's just taken it everywhere. He used to be a postie. So there were some little kids there that people were fighting for. I'm not your lab rat, this beautiful little girl. And we did ask these people whether we could use their pictures before we do it. The other thing too was meeting giants. I mean, here's Hoodie, and meeting Hoodie. Hoodie is like the unofficial general of the show. He's much. Don't look at me. I look at scruffy. I look, but he's the much. And this is with Tracy the Jedi from the Free Huggers, and meeting him, and he really does. There's something about him really attracts crowds and groups, and he's such an interesting symbol of hope. And all he did really was come out one night with this long, I think he went for a 15-minute rant about everything that was wrong. And he was completely open in there about how a lot of things in his life had gone wrong. And now he's seen as this tower of strength. Now, Bossy was there too. I didn't get a picture of Bossy. He'll be there today, so I'll try and get a picture of Bossy. I did shake his hand. And I have to admit, when I shook his hand and I met the guy, you just got a feeling that he's instinctually, that he's just this really lovely guy. This is another thing going around pure blood. I mean, that's a great image. But I'm not for this. I don't think, even though the other side is segregating us, or not segregating, because segregating actually means there's your part of the country, there's our part of the country. We're outcasts. We have nothing, you know. Even the untouchables in India have places. That's the untouchables place. We have nothing. We're in a realm now we've never been to. This is worse than apartheid. This is worse than segregation, because those people had, you know, shanty towns and other things that they could live in. We have, or cafes that were just for black people. We've got nothing. We're not allowed to have anything. And that's in Australia. We're excluded simply because we refuse to comply. And one thing you guys are going to have to consider coming up is ANZAC Day, because a lot of you are going to go down there and do the dawn service proudly, celebrating the sacrifices your forebearers made to defending freedom. And yet the people defending freedom in this country will not be allowed to go. In fact, they could even be arrested for coming. And so it's going to be the antithesis of the lie. You're absolutely, when you're sitting there, you're going to go, oh my God, we're lying. We're absolutely lying. It's the myth of the Anzacs will die on this Anzac Day if you have a load of people in your country who are freedom fighters who are still excluded. Then everything we love about Australia will be dead at that point. And anything good about Australia will only survive with us. Here's Hoodie hugging he's a hell of a hugger, general hugger. Got our t-shirt there. It's a bit of a slag. So here we were. Now I want to talk about this. So this is where in the camp. There's Billy. He's a good traveling partner, but at 3 o'clock in the morning, he's drunk and still chatting away. So he's a bit hard that way. But apart from that, he's a great traveling partner, very resilient, very committed. I think he's going to be an excellent leader for the resistance going forward. But here's the camp. Now see the flags there, and all the riding with chalk thing, and it went all over there and all over here, and then the tracks turned up. I mean, it was just extraordinary. And someone actually slept in the back of that, and we slept down here in swags and stuff. But this camp, to me, everything in this camp, everything that's good about Australia, that's worth fighting for, was in this camp. There was people of different races. One little Asian guy turned up with a cockatiel on his shoulder, and this thick Aussie accent. And he's talking here because he's sick of it, and he's come here to fight, and he brought us. Other people came down they brought us. I'm just looking for another photo, so I'll just keep going. So I know it's not that entertaining. Another couple came down, very wealthy couple. They brought us all food. They fed hundreds of people, hundreds of people. It's this. So it's not just poor, rich people and poor people. This is people coming together, and everything's against them. Everything. The entire establishment is against them. Doesn't want to hear. You know, they're scared of going to hospital or the doctors, but even hospital, because if they go to hospital, will they be allowed in? You know, who knows? Will they be properly cared for, or and this is a reality that they're dealing with. It's an absolute total reality of what they're dealing with. They might not get the proper care. I hate to put it down, but for some reason, I deal with a lot of doctors with integrity who have basically held on to the integrity, their Hippocratic oath. But there's a lot of other doctors out there who have betrayed all that. There's doctors out there now, and we hear about them, where basically they say things like, look, I need to give you an exemption, but I'm just not allowed. So your health is not their prime importance. And then they're going to actually give you the vaccine or the booster, even though they tell them, and this is what people tell me, they actually said to me that that the doctor said you shouldn't have it, it could hurt you, it could this, but there's nothing I can do, so they give it to you. So the first thing of the Hippocratic Oath is do no harm, and they're breaking that. All this training, all the years of training, all the dedication they've gone. And here this was the entrance to Parliament here, and so you had all these police coming here. Now we weren't allowed into this section here, which was the shelter from the storm, really. But I wasn't there when it happened. But there was just such a huge influx of people that I don't know what happened, but suddenly we were in there, and so the police got to here with their barrier because we're all so dangerous. But as you can see here, this is what the people did. They sat down like here and they were chanting. I mean, I'm not sure how effective it was, except it did get me to get this shot. And I think this is where we are. This is where we are. Look, guns, body armor, masks, gloves on a lot of the hands. A lot of them in Melbourne, they all wear blue gloves. And these are just ordinary Aussies. These are ordinary Aussies that have never faced this before from their own people. This is what we're at war now, and we're at war with our own establishments, and then within that, the really thing, because I went to I snuck into a hamburger joint last night, and was it grilled? I got in there. I don't have a passport. Sat down, ate the food. Go fuck yourself. And so I was sitting in there, and I was watching these young people come in, and older people too, but especially these young men who have the physiques of warriors, but they're all timid. They've got their masks nicely on, and they're just almost, one of the guys literally, I swear to God, he almost skipped out. His mask all tightly fitted, like, look how compliant I am. Look how, what the fuck? Where is the revolutionaries in your soul? You're a teenager. You're in your early 20s. You should be going fuck you to the establishment just for the hell of it. When you get older, become an accountant and fucking piss your life away, remembering how rebellious you were. But no, they're just skipping up. It's just, I've said this before and I'll say it again. Last century, every time the youth were obedient to the government, they went to war and they died. And the one decade they said, no, they'd had enough. You created the 60s, and we still love the 60s. And the 60s gave birth to the 70s. We all fucking wish we were teenagers in the 70s because they were rebellious. They were creating a culture that's, we still see the fashion and we still have the songs of that culture in us now. We still have the philosophy of the culture in us. But now, my God, now You don't have to comply. And or worse than this, don't like it. If you can't bring yourself not to wear the mask, don't walk around as though you're skipping, as though you're going, please give me something else to do. Oh, please, you got me to wear a mask. What else do you want me to do? Because the government's going to come out and say, we want you to stick a butt plug. And you're going to go, okay, I'll butt plug and see how well you skip then. But that's where we are. This compliance has to stop. The mask doesn't work, and you bloody well know it. You're only wearing the mask so you don't get in trouble with the government, because you don't want to be an outcast. You don't want to be one of us. And maybe that's why they've created us, to give you something to fear. Comply, do what you're told, or we will cast you out. You won't get a job. You won't be able to go in anywhere. You'll be a cast out, almost like The Walking Dead. And that's what we said to the police yesterday when we finally had enough and we wanted to go home and get some food. I said, we're The Walking Dead and we'll be back tomorrow. Now here, this guy, this young police officer, I didn't get that good a pitch, but he got to the verge of tears. I don't know who you are, but I was watching you. You were really upset, mate. And there was a young girl, beautiful young girl, going at him, having, saying things like, help me, and stuff like that, help us. And she was young, and she was like a gypsy, and she was full of spirit. There was something, there was a larrikin to her, there was a passion, there was a hunger for life. And he's sitting there muzzled like this. And he's got all the guns and all of this, but look at this muzzle. That's the future, And what do I mean by the future here? Look at his eyes. He doesn't want to do that. They want to be the heroes of our society, not the oppressors. And they're here. And we say this all the time, and I'll say it again, because the people who might be watching this, and sorry, my hair looks a mess. I don't go into barbers. These people here, see these people? They are not your enemy. These people are your mothers and your fathers, they're your grandparents, they're your kids, and eventually, if they survive, or if we all survive, they'll be your grandkids and your great-grandkids. And what those great-grandkids is what we're here for, and grandkids. Now, a few people out there, let's admit it, I'm actually thinking there's a lot of people who don't literally give a fuck about anything but themselves. That's it. They'll think about other people as long as they're completely safe. There's nothing. They've got the house, they've got the job, they're this, and then maybe they might think of someone else. I think there's a lot of that. But there's also a lot of the others who don't. And a lot of these people, like this woman here with her child, walking here, other people have brought their kids. They're here fighting for their children and fighting for their grandchildren. And what they want is they want a future that doesn't look like this, with someone wearing a mask who doesn't want to wear a mask, someone who's oppressing his people but doesn't want to oppress his people. And why are you doing it? So why are you doing it? Really? Just a job? And where does just a job end? What if they start getting camps? You're going to work in the camp and then basically imprison other Australians? What are you going to do? You're going to say, oh, it's just a job. I've got to pay my car bills, I'm trying to get my kid ballet lessons. And so, we've got these outcast Australians who are always going on about freedom stuck in a camp. And what do? It's a job. It's good pay. It's good holiday pay. Good sickies, they're pretty easy going. You get free uniform and you get to beat up on people that have no value in our society because they refuse to comply. Is that what you're going to do? That's where we're heading. That's where this kid's heading. He's doing this now. But I'm telling you, mate, if you're watching, you and all any other police like this year sometime you could be driving a van, and someone like me or some of these other freedom fighters could be in the back being taken to a camp. And you'll be doing that. You'll be a part of that. And what you'll be doing is being the architect, one of the architects of the future that this, whatever is doing this wants, whether it's big pharma or corporations or anything like that. They want a future where you are living in fear and you are oppressed and you are scared all the time and you never speak openly because speaking openly could get you in trouble. So you live isolated within yourself. You're not Australians anymore. You're just this collection of little prisoners imprisoned by fear. And then if you break out of the fear, you probably end in a camp or with the outcasts like us. Because fear is the real virus here. And the only cure for fear is courage. You've got to find the courage to fight it, tell it to fuck off. So that's what's been offered by the Australian government, by ScoMo, by everything else. This is the future they want. Or you can have the future we want, which is this, where we look after each other, we care for each other, we forgive each other. We are defined by our kindness, not by our willingness to look like this. I'm going back to the perhaps steps to Parliament pretty soon. I'm going to try to do Vox Pops today with the thing in the back. So I've got my camera equipment here. Hopefully I'll charge it up. I'm going to try and buy a generator. So I've got some power. But anyone comes down, if you want to tell your story with the Parliament in the back, tell them why you're here. We'll try and get it up so people can see that while it's very easy to portray us all as basically, however you want to portray us, you just don't like us anyway. But we're actually people, real people. We're Australians, we're human beings, and we deserve respect and decency. And the basis of all our freedoms, and your children's freedoms, your grandchildren's freedoms is choice. That's what it's built on. If you build a patio, you build a patio on concrete. You put a concrete slab down first. Or here, or a house, you build a concrete slab down first for a house. Well, democracy, that concrete is freedom of choice. And if you do not have freedom of choice, you are not in a democracy. You're in a dictatorship. And go through the history books and try find anyone who lived in a dictatorship that wasn't a leader who enjoyed it. Good luck. Anyway, back today. See ya.